The last House of Commons sitting before October's election gets underway today. MPs will gather in West Block. It's their new home, while some major renovations take place in Parliament and Centre Block. So how will the leaders use this sitting to make their mark? Because they've got to do that. We're heading into an election. To help answer that, we've brought together a panel of strategists from the three main parties. So in Toronto, we've got Conservative strategist Jason Leader. So glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
He is president of public affairs firm Enterprise Canada. I want to take you over to our nation's capital because on the screen we've got Susan Smith. She is the Liberal strategist. She is a principal with Blue Sky Strategy Group. Hello to you, Susan.
Good morning. Good morning.
And next to her, NDP strategist Robin McLaughlin. He is vice president, Summa Strategies. So great to have you all on. Hello to you, Robin.
Great to be here, Sarah.
All right, so let's discuss the elephant in the room first off. That elephant is named John McCallum. We know he's gone. He's no longer Canada's ambassador. And let me begin with you,
Sure.
Jason. The Conservative point of view, is that going to be hammered in the House today when the QP begins?
So. Yeah, I think these series of missteps, it's not just John McCallum, but we've had this series of missteps, Canada-U.S. relations, Canada-China relations, culminating in this thing. We're caught in this vice between Canada and the U.S. The Trudeau government, I don't think Canadians are really blaming Justin Trudeau for terrible relations with Donald Trump or terrible relations with the Chinese. But the problem is, here we are. He was supposed to fix all this. And this issue with McCallum, you know, was he right? Was he wrong? They fired him. Remember, they put John McCallum in because he was supposed to be so close with China. And here we are. The Chinese are mad at him again. We've got Canadians over there detained. Justin Trudeau said he was going to fix all this. Stephen Harper was a thing of the past. We were going to get along with everybody. The problem is he can't get along with anybody.
But did he fix it in firing McCallum, Susan?
Well, I think he had, sadly, Ambassador McCallum had to go. It's an unfortunate end to what was a very good career, but it was mixed messages that were coming out of the government. And the government, under Prime Minister Trudeau and Minister Freeland, have been really clear that it's rule of law when it comes to this case. With regards to the relationship with China and the relationship with the U.S., no one could have predicted the fractious nature of south of the border when Prime Minister Trudeau was elected.
You
I think
so?
he's done a good.
You didn't predict that?
No, well, when Prime Minister Trudeau was elected in 2015. So I think he's done a good job of managing that. I think there have been a few curveballs that have been thrown along the way. I don't think he was ever going to, you can't fix China. What you can do is find a way to build and strengthen relations.
And
but
that's really an issue here. That's really an issue here. Jason,
I think the whole Huawei thing has really thrown a curve
I know,
into
Jason,
it.
you use the word fix, and I think perhaps, Susan, does she get the point there? It's not about fixing something, it's about creating a relationship. Let me bring you into this, Robin, as well, because, you know, this sitting begins today. We're certainly got a special going on CBC News Network at 2 o'clock with Vashi Kapellos, my colleague over at Power and Politics. Everybody's going to be listening to how much play this gets. How much play do you intend to give the China relations and the John McCallum firing?
Oh, it's definitely going to be dominant in the agenda during question period, and because it's topical, and because the opposition will smell blood. This is not good for the Liberals. You don't want to start a session, especially the last one of your first mandate, with such a negative issue. And, you know, Susan's right. It is about building relations with China, and that was supposed to be a key focus for this Liberal government under Prime Minister Trudeau. They said that the most important future trading relationship Canada had was with China. He wanted to advance a free trade agreement. That is obviously dead in the water now. But the problem here, too, is it just looks like chaos. And you know, world affairs, global affairs tends to be a natural advantage for an incumbent leader because they get to look prime ministerial. They get to look like a leader.
Remember, Suhana, you know, Jean Chrétien, you never really heard about some of this stuff. Stephen Harper, you never really heard about some of this stuff. You know, I think Robin made a good point there. We said, Justin Trudeau said, China's going to be our most important relationship. The problem is this goes back a couple of years. Susan said, you know, we can't blame the Trump thing on him. Trump got angry when we said that, and that's one of the reasons why we had such a difficult time. And I give them credit for navigating through NAFTA. The problem is we angered the Americans by saying the Chinese were going to be our best friends. We angered the Chinese by doing American bidding, and we're stuck between the two right now, and Justin Trudeau can't find a way out.
Oh, and the Conservatives are going to make that all right?
No, I'm not, but they wouldn't have done what the Liberals did 2 years ago.
But let me ask you this, guys, as a threesome here. For people at home, let me ask you, are you sitting at home saying, I'm really worried about the whole John McCallum story today? Or are people...
No, but they're worried.
If that's what you're going to be talking about in the House of Commons, in this sitting, are you totally off the mark? Because I'm going to bet you're not sitting at home saying, I'm worried about John McCallum.
I think
what about jobs?
I think people are, well, jobs as far as Canada goes, people, the high employment rate, or the unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been. There are more people that have ever been employed in the last 40 years. That's good news for Canadians. And you're right, Suhana. What people are talking about at home is, do I have a paycheck? Are my kids looked after? Are my prospects in my job good? Is the economy strong? Are my roads, are my transit working? And that's what the Liberals are going to be talking about. They obviously don't want to be talking about what's going on the China side of things until it gets resolved. But they'll be talking about the economy and the good things that are happening in the economy. And some of the minutia and the flair and the flavor that the opposition is looking for to score points, I think, will land on deaf ears when it comes to most Canadians.
This is where I think Justin Trudeau has actually lost the plot. And I think, listen, he's still the odds-on favorite to win the next election campaign because Canadians generally re-elect people that are, for a couple of terms, especially when you get a majority government. He's the odds-on favorite. But here's where
this is a conservative strategist saying he's the odds-on favorite.
Because his leader doesn't present a good option.
He is. No, but here's the thing. He's lost the plot. Remember why he was elected the last time. I'm going to be a nicer guy, and I'm going to remember what the middle class is all about. Listen, it was sort of Jean Chrétien, Dalton McGuinty almost sort of populism, sort of this middle class kind of thing. What is Justin Trudeau talking about right now? He's in all these messes all over the place. He's lost the plot. They've lost the message, actually. And I think Andrew Scheer came out yesterday. I don't know if you saw his speech, but he sort of said it was about affordability and sort of, so the Liberals are going to be telling everybody, just as Susan did, it's never been better. Unemployment's low. Everything, you're making so much money. No, just give me a second. Everybody's going to you're making so much money. Nobody can believe how much money we've got. And Canadians are feeling squeezed and pinched. And I think the NDP and the Conservatives on both sides are going to say, Justin Trudeau's going to telling you that everything's great. It's not as great as it seems.
Susan?
People are anxious.
Okay, you know what, Robin, you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so people are anxious. They're anxious about what's going on globally, what's anxious going on south of the border, what's going on in Europe with Brexit. They're anxious about Canada's place in the world. You can get a Bay Street economist to come out and say the economy is growing, even though now they're saying it's growing less than they had expected it to grow. But what Jason's hinting at here is what matters to people in their household. How is it going for their household budget, cost of living? And on that front, housing is a crisis in many communities across Canada. The cost of prescription drugs. And I think that's where you're going to see a little bit of a wedge for the Liberals on the economy, because you have Jagmeet Singh in the NDP saying we need to make life more affordable. And suddenly, Andrew Scheer is now saying that too. And that's because that's the area where the Liberals are weak.
But let me ask you this, Robin, and maybe I'm digressing here, but I'm going to take the chance. Is your party more concerned about February 25th than about October? Because on February 25th, you'll know whether Jagmeet Singh actually has a seat in the House.
And thank goodness we have February 25th now. We finally have a by-election. So for the NDP, October is all about February 25th.
Don't ask Robin whether he wants him to win or lose that by-election on TV.
I
want him to win. And
the NDP are like a hockey team. They're in full rebuild mode, but they don't have a captain at this point in time. So I think that's going to be an issue for them. And I think as far as Mr. Scheer goes, he's going to have to spend a lot of the time in this next year saying, I'm not Doug Ford, I'm not Jason Kenney, no, please look at me, I'm Andrew Scheer, and putting something in the window for Canadians to choose from an alternative perspective other than Stephen Harper Light. So far he's been unsuccessful there.
Today.
It's been a bad couple of weeks for the Liberals.
No, but I think he's been unsuccessful there, and what the Prime Minister has from an advantage perspective is the USMCA, a deal. He did a deal with the Americans.
All right, still has to go through the final
CETA.
ratifications.
Yeah, no, but Canada as a trading nation has deals with every single G7 country, and this puts us in good shape.
Susan,
people are working. There's
ask you.
investments, Andrew. There's investments in infrastructure, Jason. There's the Canada Child Benefit. Seniors who, under Stephen Harper, were forced to work to 67 now can choose to stop at 65.
Okay,
so
let me ask you about trade.
Let's
leave this part of the panel on trade, because you mentioned USMCA or CUSMA, whichever way you want to call it. Mexico calls it something else. Yeah. Jason, you said whatever.
Yeah.
Well, why would you say whatever? This is a huge, important deal for Canada. Why would your response be whatever?
Well, there's still steel tariffs. Listen, that was a defensive negotiation. If Susan thinks that negotiating that free trade agreement is going to get Justin Trudeau reelected, I've got news for her. That's not going to get him reelected. We've still got steel tariffs that are killing people and sort of, killing families' economy or the economic, sort of situation in Hamilton and other areas, Regina, that kind of thing. So here's the thing, and this is the point I was going to make to Susan, is Justin Trudeau, global celebrity Justin Trudeau, how is he still tied at the polls with these two inexperienced leaders? He's tied with Andrew Scheer. Jagmeet Singh is, struggling to make a mark. But that's the question. Justin Trudeau Trudeau should be steamrolling right now. You know, he's got a strong economy, relatively strong economy. Susan's the first to tell you. How is he not steamrolling these guys? That's the question. It's because Canadians aren't quite sure that they've got what they voted for back in 2015.
All right, I'm going to leave it there for a moment. I know there's lots more to say. Let's talk about tone when we come back, because the tone here has also been interesting, and perhaps that's sort of a microcosm of all of this. But we've got Jason Leader here in Toronto, Susan Smith and Robin McLaughlin are sticking around. They're in Ottawa. We're going to dive deeper into the issues. This is CBC News Network.